So when I first started doing overseas missions 4 years ago, Sarah told me, when you preach the gospel in the United States, you worry about raised eyebrows. When you preach the gospel in the rest of the world, you worry about a raised fist or worse. And it's very true. The Church of the Brethren in Nigeria, if you're familiar with the geography at all, I don't have a map of Nigeria, unfortunately, I should have done that. But the Church of the Brethren, EYN in Nigeria, is located mostly in the northeast section of Nigeria, which is where Boko Haram has hit. So unfortunately, every church has been affected. Everybody has lost somebody, more than one somebody. I was honored to be able to travel to Mubi, which is where the Church of the Brethren headquarters was. It has now been relocated because they have all fled. And I got to visit some of their churches. And I think it's important for us to see that it's hard to look at. It's important for us to see what they've experienced. And they were very anxious. None of them have been back. They were very anxious to hear about it, the church leadership. And I quickly became called that brave white woman who went to Mubi. And I said, please don't call me that. I went to Mubi, escorted by heavily armed Nigerian young men from the Nigerian army. You are the ones that lived through this. I just went to see it. So Noah, would you show the first slide, please? So this is the former EYN headquarters in Nigeria. This is the welcome sign. Okay, next one, Noah. And this you can see sideways, it says EYN there. That's one of the buildings when you first go in. Okay, next one. And this is what their headquarters looks like. They were all there when this happened. The leadership was all there, and they had to flee. Okay, next one. And next one. Here you can see nobody's been there, nothing's been touched. This is one of the cars that was in the parking lot, and you can see the bullet holes from Boko Haram when they came in. And the irony is, this is from Adamawa State. That's the state within Nigeria. And you can't see it on this slide. I took a close-up, but it says, "Welcome to the state of beauty." And that's what's left of it. All right, Noah. This is Reverend James. Reverend James was in headquarters when Boko Haram came. He was, I don't remember what his title is, but he took it upon himself to make a lot of phone calls and alert a lot of local pastors that Boko Haram was there before he himself fled. So he took a huge risk. He witnessed many people falling at the hands of Boko Haram. All right, next one. These are people's homes. People lost everything. Their homes were burned. Their livestock was either killed or taken. All of their possessions were taken. So even people that have started to go back, the women have gone back, the men can't go back yet. They have nothing to build their lives on. They have no source of income because everything has been taken. The rainy season now is upon them, so it's too late to plant crops. So they are stuck with nothing. Okay, Noah. And then we saw some of the churches. All right, next one. And many times they were worshiping when this happened, and many times the pastors saw their congregation being attacked and losing members of the congregation. I mean, Pastor Mark, can you imagine losing 10, 20, 30, 40 people on a Sunday morning? And yet they continue to worship. That's faith, that's resilience. Next slide, please. This is a view from the parsonage looking to the church. And the next one. These are two women in Mubi that I got to talk to and hear their stories. And again, they told me about how they fled. Both women, the woman on the left, on your left, on my right, lost her whole family. The woman on the right lost her husband and 3 sons. And it's so commonplace. Like I said, everybody's lost somebody. And I shared this. I'll use Reba again. I'll pick on Reba, and I'm not picking on your family. But it's very common for me to say, Reba, I see Erin's not here. Is she alive? That's their life. That's their life. Because they lose people every day. Or they don't know where people are. It's like, I don't know where my dad is. I haven't seen him for a month or 2 months or a year. I don't know if he's alive or not. Can you imagine? And yet their faith is so strong. They are so resilient. Okay, Noah. These are 2 women. We talked to a couple women's groups in the area, And these are women who were sharing their concerns, sharing, how are they going to survive? The church as a corporation can't help them because the church as a corporation is devastated. That's where our contributions come in. They are so thankful for the donations from the United States Church of the Brethren and some other countries. Switzerland has been helping also, because EYN can't do anything for them because they've lost everything. Next slide, please. This was during their annual conference. And I can't begin to tell you how moving this was, because remember that the church is Boko Haram's #1 target. And within the church, the pastors are the #1 target. And at annual conference, 300 pastors in their white robes showed up in solidarity, sitting together. And even a step further, there are young men becoming pastors. People still are following the call of Jesus, even though they know it's a direct threat on their lives. They are still following the call of Jesus, and it was the coolest ceremony. These guys came in, they took their oaths, and then literally, as you can see, they wear the white robes, the pastors, when they're preaching. And when they took their oaths and were confirmed as pastors, they were in the center, and they were literally surrounded by these 300 men. And they helped them change into their new robes. It was so moving. I mean, I could hardly, I'm glad I can get through telling you about it, because it was just an amazing thing to know that they are still have that faith and that resolve to follow that call in this situation. I mean, the persecuted church is just such an example of faith. And so this is all of their brothers showing support. And then the women's fellowship took all their wives out and brought them back in wearing pastors' wives' shirts. And I have a cloth, I should have brought it. Their skirts, this is a skirt that they gave me. They found a pink one. They have EYN Women's Fellowship logo on it. So the women their wives came back in with pastors' wives' uniform, if you will, and the guys had their robes on. Noah, would you do the next slide? And this is everybody, even if they couldn't reach laying in hands, everybody had their hands out in solidarity. That was an amazing, amazing moment. Okay, Noah. This is Pastor Zechariah. And he was leading a funeral service when Boko Haram attacked. And the only thing he has from his life is his Bible, and he only has it because he was leading a funeral service at the time. And as he was fleeing, they were shooting for him, and a little girl was killed while they were trying to shoot him. And I thought of you. I was like, can you imagine? Can you imagine if my granddaughter was killed because someone was trying to shoot you? I mean, I just can't. I don't know how they go on. I don't know how they go on, but their faith is so deep. They are so convicted. Next slide, please. This is Monica. Isn't she beautiful? She, if you can see her left arm, she has defense wounds. I was telling my mom this story. She was describing her story to me. She has 3 sons, and her middle son, David, she was trying to explain to me that she had taken him to her mother's house, and I couldn't quite, I'm like, why weren't the other 2 boys with your mom? And basically what I got from her is David was kind of her mom's favorite, kind of grandma's favorite, right, Joseph? And so David was spending some time with grandma, and in the middle of the night, Boko Haram came, and she saw her husband and her other 2 boys killed in front of her. She has a big scar where they cut her throat. They thought she was dead and left her for dead. So, but she has the resolve. Look at her smile. I mean, she's gorgeous. And she went, after she was in the hospital almost 9 months, and when she got out, she got David, and she is determined to keep worshiping and following Jesus and building a new life for herself. Next one, please. And this is Naomi. Naomi lost her husband and 3 sons, and this is her little girl that was newborn at the time that she named Hope. I can't imagine naming a child Hope in the middle of all of this. All right, Noah. This is Hawa. Hawa is one of the girls from Chibok who escaped. Chibok is the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, the 200 plus Brethren girls that were kidnapped while they were taking their final exams. She just, again, has so much resolve and faith. Unfortunately, we hear that some of them have escaped or are back home, and we're all excited about that, and we should be. But most of them come back with HIV or pregnant or both. Their communities and families do not want Boko Haram offspring. These girls have a really tough time. They've been severely traumatized. Plus, they continue to be traumatized. Not that people are mean to them, but it's not easy accepting them back. And this young lady nearly died getting an education and is still determined she wants to take her final exams. She wants that education. And it's so important to them, and that's one of the things Sarah struggles with. She's seen things like this, and when she is in college and people are cutting classes, she can hardly stand that because people are dying to go to school in other countries. Next slide, please. Mark asked me to talk about resilience, and I saved this slide for second to last. This is an EYN congregation worshiping in their burned church. That's resilience. Think about what we would do if we were attacked right here, right now. Our church was burned. And it's concrete, so they still have their walls. It's not like there's nothing left, but you can see it's burned. Would we still come back and continue to worship and praise Jesus? One of the things that this is their folder from their annual conference, and I want to read part of one of their prayers. First of all, when they pray, it's so humbling because they always start with, Lord, thank you for counting me among the living. And it's like, we just don't even think about that. I don't think about that. I shouldn't speak for all of us. But this is entitled, Our Cries Continue. How long, O Lord, will you forget EYN? How long will you hide your face from us? How long will our enemy triumph over us? But then the tone changes. But we trust in your unfailing love. Our hearts rejoice in your salvation. We will sing the Lord's praise, for he has been good to us. For he has been good to us, they're saying. These are people that have lost everything, have lost family members, have seen their children die before their eyes, and they're saying, for he has been good to us. I felt so unworthy being in their presence. Last slide, please, Noah. This is their General Secretary, Reverend Janatu, and I wanted to include a slide of him in talking about faith and resilience. I mean, these pastors, everybody is just amazing. The pastors especially, though, because they are really being what leaders need to be at this time. They are really pointing to Christ. Their faith is so strong. Every morning at EYN headquarters, where I spend a lot of time, they start with a worship service, and they take turns doing it. But Reverend Janatu always ends, no matter what the scripture study is, he always ends with Matthew 8, verse 20b. And this is how he says it. Surely, surely, I will be with you to the end of the world. Surely, and he repeats it several times. Jesus said, surely, surely, I will be with you. And they believe that, and that's faith and resilience. Thank you.